Peace, I'm Max Resitar and I run SLAMKICKS. I'm joined today by The Surgeon and by Spencer Walior, the winner of DraftKings sweepstakes that had local artists across the country dreaming up Adidas Form colorways for The Surgeon to then create. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. And before we get into this, Spencer, I've been told that you haven't seen the finished product yet. Is that true?
That's true, I have not. Looking forward to it for sure.
So, Dominic, do you think it's time that I unveil your creation to him?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even have it because we had to send it to you guys.
Oh baby, here we go. All right, you ready? So here is your first look.
Ooh, oh my, that is beauty.
What's going through your head right now?
You got the little hang tag piece, man. Oh, yeah.
What are you thinking about right now?
I can't wait to have that in my hands.
All right, so Spencer, take me through the emotion that you're feeling right now in seeing this finished product.
Oh, dude, like exhilarated, really, kind of shaking a little bit. Just, it truly has. It's been a dream of mine to design a sneaker. I've collected sneakers, loved the whole culture of it for, most of my life. So to have something, I design, put my heart into and, has my hometown reflected into it. Yeah, it's elating for sure.
And Dominic, when you see this reaction, what's going through your mind?
I feel like I take it for granted for what I do. We do that all the time that I forget the feeling of what it's like to design something and then like actually make it. Because that feeling is so beautiful. And I take it for granted, so it's cool to see. And there's so many details on the shoe, so definitely wasn't an easy one.
And can we start there with all these details? Spencer, maybe you can take us through the details, and then Dominic, maybe you can jump in and talk about how you actually made all this come to life in a physical product.
Yeah, so for me, and that was definitely the most difficult part, obviously the color scheme, and then working in some details that I think would really pop off the shoe. So what I tried to do was take, my hometown basketball culture as well as just kind of the culture I feel around Seattle and express that. So for instance, on the side where you see the kind of X tabs, well, that's a representation of Jamal Crawford, who's a great NBA player, 6th man of the year. But bigger than that, he now does a Seattle Pro-Am League called the Crossover. So that to me, having someone of his stature coming back home to really support the community and basketball culture further, I believe really deserved a shout out. So I also wanted to make it kind of functional. So I wanted those tabs to be kind of loose, as if, you could hang something from it, whether it's, a compass of some sort or anything like that. And then moving on, so Sue Bird, if you're not familiar, absolute champion. She played with the Seattle Storm here in the WNBA, and I'm pretty certain her image is the WNBA logo. So I obviously couldn't leave her out. And that's where you see kind of on the outside front toe area where you got the 4 birds representing, her and her championships. I also, given it's the Seattle Storm and you got, cloudy, rainy Seattle, I also put some cloud decal or details on the inside of the shoe that kind of represent that feeling of, Seattle Storm as well as stormy Seattle and just kind of trudging through that. I'm kind of thinking there's so many.
I mean, that's a lot right there. Dominic, he laid out a meal for you. How did you go about in making all this come to life?
Yeah, I mean, he came by and we had him come touch and feel the materials because it's very important to really feel what you're working with and see it. And we used suedes. We mocked up his designs and made sure we can vector them. So we actually embroidered the birds and we embroidered the clouds into the suedes. And it was fun to do because there's so many textures on the shoe and there's so many details that it was cool to bring it to life. That's what I like to do. I like bringing ideas to life. And when you design a shoe that has details, it's also a puzzle. It's like, how do I figure out how to do this? Because there's so many ways to do it.
Dominic and Spencer are giving us a whole lot of game about the artistry of the Adidas Form. But let's nerd out real fast. To start off, we have the collar strap, which was named the crisscross system back in the day. It allowed squads like the Duke men's basketball team to have adjustable comfort on the court. There's a multi-pattern outsole underfoot and a rubber heel counter right above that. The pair we're talking about today with Spencer and Dominic has obviously switched out some of the OG materials, but the Form's signature technological component still shines through. The Form's Dellinger Web is a system of nylon netting designed to assist in cushioning by distributing the force of impact throughout the entire shoe. That's a whole lot of nerding out right there. So let's get back to the artistry with Dominic and Spencer. As an artist, did this specific concept challenge you to maybe go down any type of new avenues that you hadn't before?
I've been down a lot of avenues.
That's a fact.
So, not necessarily, but there is a lot of textures. There's a lot of different details. Yeah, so we had to figure out how to do that in a way. If I would have had more time, I would have actually grown moss on it. But we're limited with time, so we use what we have and what we're able to source in time. But that detailing is really cool, and figuring out how to implement it and allow it to look like moss or look like what it's supposed to achieve. So.
And Spencer, I mean, when you go through this entire list, to me, your observational abilities really shine through. How long had you been ruminating on this type of big idea?
I mean, this one specifically was kind of, more sporadic as I just stumble upon the competition more or less. But the idea of, wanting to design and, in some aspects designing shoes just in my free time, has been around since I was probably like 12 or 13. I remember, still to this day, I think it was probably the Reebok Answer 4, the red and white one with the zipper top, as well as maybe the T-Mac 3 back in the day. Those were just awe-inspiring, and since then I've just been a sneakerhead, collector, mostly aware, and wanted to now finally get my designs on paper and made.
That's awesome. Dominic, I know this is off script, but just hearing Spencer name those two sneakers, do you have a pair or two that really sparked your love of all this?
Yeah, it was, I remember the first shoe that I Sharpied was a Dada Supreme.
Hell yeah.
And then the first shoe that I wore that really, really got me into sneakers was the original 1985 Jordan 1. Right, there was just a magical thing when I wore it, and that was just like, yo, I need that feeling again.
So do you have a favorite part of Spencer's concept?
Just the direction, how detailed it was, and how he thinks like a designer, and how he thinks, deeper of the concept, right? There's so many parts and elements to this, like Smokey the Bear. That's my favorite part.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just, there's so much to it, and you can tell the story for a long time with this shoe.
That's awesome. And of course, this was done in collaboration with DraftKings. So how did your partnership with DraftKings begin, Dominic?
Yeah, we've worked with DraftKings for a little bit now, and we've always just wanted to do something that pushes the limits and gets people looking at things differently. And the way that he brought this shoe to life through Seattle, and just we wanted to do something different. Everything feels the same, so we wanted to incorporate DraftKings through this design, but also allow the freedom for the artist to kind of to speak his voice.
Yeah, of course. This is visual communication, right? So, Spencer, we have the visuals. Can you take us through what's going through your mind right now? Because all I see on your face is a big smile.
Yeah, really just still processing everything. Like Dominic just said, the detail, I almost forget all the details sometimes, but going back to DraftKings, I was almost happy to be able to put their crown image on the tongue of the shoe, because it actually allowed me to then, I made a little inside the crown, a little Space Needle detail that also kind of resembles the old Sonics jersey lettering type. So yeah, just the detail and that he was able to, and him and his team were able to accomplish that is just mind-blowing. So, still just processing everything, and I feel, like a giddy little boy.
Shout out to DraftKings for making it possible. This has been such a good experience, and our partnership has been a blessing, and we're really pushing the limits on what we're going to do together.
Again, DraftKings, Dominic, thank you guys, and really I just hope other people are also inspired by the idea. I know, it's a hometown basketball competition, but I wanted my shoe to really be something that we don't normally see, and is seen as more than just a basketball shoe, but something, a part of myself and where I'm from. So I really appreciate the opportunity and can't wait to see these in person.
Amazing, guys. Thank you again for joining us today on The Soul Connection. Appreciate you both.